The home of good coffee, ice hockey, and some dinos playing basketball is Canada is the host for today's Lotus 49 spectacle. Many chicanes will stand before our drivers on their way to the top step of the podiums. High curbs will be needed to topple, and acceleration is key to speed around this circuit. So buckle up, get some popcorn, grab your Cheese RC bingo card, and join us today as we get ready to watch round 7 of the Grand Prix Legend Series live on the Global SimRacing Channel via the iRacing eSports Network. The crew to give you all these stats and storylines today will be John Wehan, joining myself, Stefan Schlacher. Turning the knobs and pushing the buttons behind the scenes is our director, Sean Craig Ambrose, and he's using cameras provided by the great Dougie Beard. The first ever race being won by local hero Gilles Villenueve, the Formula 1 history runs deep within this circuit. Let's get a better handle as to why this track is regarded so highly with our GSRC track guide.
Welcome to Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Host of the Canadian Grand Prix for over 40 years, this track's popularity among fans refuses to wane. Although it has gone through a few alterations in its history, the nature of its layout has remained pretty much the same. That nature, of course, is that its 14 turns are mostly chicanes, split up by long straights to add up to a 2.7-mile street course-like canyon of a track. These 4.3 kilometers are mainly made up of actual streets on the man-made Ile Notre Dame, though portions are specifically built for the racetrack. But whether or not fans consider it a true street course, the close barriers that line the majority of the track don't care what you think. Places like the exit of Turn 4 and Turn 9 frequently collect the greedy. But these pale in infamy to the notorious Wall of Champions. Named for its penchant to collect F1 World Champions, the corner itself is called Quebec. Regardless, it's a finicky and tight chicane with a critical corner exit, so drivers are tempted into edging the car as close as they dare to the concrete. Despite the numerous heavy braking zones, passing can be difficult at times for certain types of cars. Often, attrition or cut course penalties play a bigger part in who finishes where. While sports cars and NASCAR have both made stops here, this place is mainly known for its history with Formula 1. Named after what is easily Canada's most popular driver in the International Open Wheel Series, this semi-temporary circuit looks like it's actually here to stay for a long, long time.
Welcome back to the Grand Prix Legends pre-race show. That was just a track guide for Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. And by the way, are you looking to take advantage of GSRC's over 1 million global monthly impressions? From official series sponsorship to commercial placements, we have advertising opportunities customizable to suit your company's needs. Follow the link in the description to learn more. And speaking about learning more, John, what can you tell us about today's venue?
Wonderful. So we've come to what is pretty much a modern classic Formula 1 racing circuit known as Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. It is 4.36 kilometers long or 2.71 miles. It has 13 corners, and it's very much it is a street circuit, but it does also embody some aspects of a good purpose-built racing track. It is located in Montreal, Quebec, in Canada, and of course, there's only one layout, which is the Grand Prix layout. Now, what's really interesting about tonight, the whole combination of car track that we have tonight, it is very much a good combination of a historic classic that we have in the form of a Lotus 49 and a modern classic, which is the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve.
Modern classic most definitely has gone through various iterations as well. Just like our F1 Drivers' Championship, which we're going to be looking at right now, where Nicola Gocci has officially taken over the championship lead, 177 points to his named Italian, smiling from atop just beyond him. That is Mick Gledge, 4 points behind, with Rob Bolenick in third, 22 points internal already behind, with Ovid Trengrade, the Norwegian driver, in fourth place. And then we have Sebastian Tixia running out your top 5, 127 points to his name, 50 points behind Nicola Gocci. And technically, John, we could nearly put your first place driver, Antti Keränen, into that F1 championship.
Yeah, very much so. And if we do have a look at the Formula 2 Drivers' Championship, it is being led by, in fact, Antti Karinen with 136 points. And David Rossi is not far behind with 82 points. Andrew Ng, 60 points in third. Pekka Risto is in fourth with 59 points. And Eric Leukel, not far behind at all. He is with 54 points and he is in fifth.
Last but not least, we also have the Nations Cup to report to you guys, where United Kingdom is right now leading with a flat 200 points. Italy 1 point behind them. That is, I think, all points there being held in by Nicola Cochin. Actually, 22 points have come from someone else, so good for them. At least 2 drivers there in that nation right now, racing in the lows for the now. With the United States in third, Finland in fourth, and Norway sits in fifth place. I think this is the very first time in the Lotus 49 season, in a very long seasons here, that we have 2 Norse countries in the top 5. Speaking about new things, John, what can you tell us about this race?
Of course, this is round 6 of 13 over here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. There are 22 laps over here tonight. And it is also an open setup, which means that drivers have all the freedom they can to get the most out of their car setups. And also, as usual with iRacing official penalty system, you do have you will get a penalty once you hit the 17 incident mark, and disqualification will come when you come to 25 incidents.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I don't think that anybody will get to those incident limits, because if you hit them, you most definitely are skilled at getting your 1x's without hitting the wall. In the background, you can already see qualifying is going on. In the meantime, we have right now over train rate being about a 10th ahead of Rob Olenek. They're here only 2 below 131. Rafael Dorado continues his very strong outings. He's right now sitting in third place, with Peter Mikos being in fourth, and Nicola Cocchi, your current F1 drivers standing leader, he is in fifth place. Let's have a look who we are gonna have here coming up. Actually, we have Rob Olenek in second place. Never mind. Dorado is also coming over the start-finish line right now. He's still sitting in third place, hasn't been toppled. 2/10 behind Rob Olenek. Can he improve to get below that at 131? It is not good enough. 2/10 slow. Mick Clash also coming in over the start-finish line. Now the number 1 driver comes in. Scorching hot, second place for him, and that is all that he has done for, because that already was his second lap of qualifying. Over train grade, one of our champions in this series. He most definitely finds his way into the Wall of Champions there, John.
Yeah, of course, that's one of those signature spots here at Montreal, and also named Wall of Champions, because many incidents have happened where champion drivers have just, unfortunately plowed into that wall. It's not easy at all with the curbs, being so bumpy. It's very easy to kind of send your car sending into a wall. This is Gary Teal. He's just set a lap time of 1:39.03, and that does set him back in 15th position. As we go with Antonio Rees, he goes over the curbs, and his fastest lap time was 1:32.860. Is he going to beat his fastest lap time? Unfortunately not, and he does not improve on his qualifying position of 13th. And this is Yuri Gisland, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Yuri Geisen, he is coming over the start-finish line here in just a second. That will be his first and only lap, I think, that he is going to count, unless he banks in one really fast lap next time around, and it is a 32.791, puts him in to 13th place. Don Peak also just went over the start-finish line. He is sitting in 20th. Andre Schumacher has no lap time in yet. The number 29 driver comes in over the start-finish line. 17th place. He puts his purple machine. And
this is Rodney Evans around the happy. And we're back with Ovi Trengerite, who, of course, he has the fastest lap of 1:30, and yes, everyone's completing their qualifying laps in anticipation of the race start.
Yeah, so that is all confirmed, done and dusted. Rage is going to be lining up as your pole sitter for today with a 1:30.818. He has done the job just ahead of Mick Ledge, about a 10th, separating himself from the UK9 driver. Rob Bolanik, he will be lining up in 3rd place. And the very interesting thing here, as you will be able to see on the grid, they are only separated by 8/1000ths of a second, with Nicola Kochi being in 4th place, Rafael Dorado, very good 5th place once again, Peter Miko 6th place, with Alessandro Parisi lining up in 7th, Bill Tyler in 8th, and then we have our F2 Championship leader, a little bit struggling here today in Canada, only a 9th place for him with Sebastian Tixier lining up in 10th place.
Over in 11th, we have David Rossi with a 1:32.637, and not far behind at all is Igor Corbeau in 12th. Yuri Geisen and Antonio Rice 13th and 14th. Pekka Risto and Gary Teal take 15th and 16th. Andre Schumacher and Chris Murakami will begin from 17th and 18th. Emmanuel Pereira and Chandler Pellerito will begin from 19th and 20th.
Uh, 21st went to Don Peak with John Van Dorn, 22nd, David Meyer, in 23rd, Dave 24th, Douglas Nelson will be lying in 25th, with Russell Whitworth, the last car to put in a qualifying lap in 26th. Colin Bentley, Kyle Reed, Rodney Evans, Terry Trommelhauser, Lockhart Brownlee, Robert Reynolds, and Reggie Jensen will be completing your 33 drivers here today. No split has been done because that starts at 36 cars that sign up for a race. Still waiting for a few more drivers. The question begs, John, how important is qualifying here?
Yes, in fact, all the drivers are already beginning to grid at this point. Of course, with all the qualifying pace being so close with one another. In fact, the first 3 drivers being just 1/10 or 2/10 within each other. We'll kind of expect a very tight race to as we go ahead.
Very much so. We have everybody on the grid, so the engines will start to harmonize in just a few moments' time. Mick Ledge versus Overtrain who will be leading into the first turn. The green flag is out, and we're racing here in virtual Canada. It's a very great start for Overtrain leaving everybody in his dust. Mick Ledge has nothing to say about that first position in turn 1. Rob Bolanik also able to defend his 3rd place over Nicola Kochi. So the Italian stays in 4th place. It's very much about him just getting in those points and especially staying kind of ahead of Overtrain as Rob Bolanik loses near the corner. And it seems like we don't really have any issues in the field thus far as we had through turn number 3. And that was actually a little bit of problem back in the very back of the field through turn number 3.
Do in fact have a couple of incidents that might have happened over there outside of the camera as the race started along the grid, but everyone else has seemed to make it safely through the race start. So Trangaride still leads this race. He leads Mick Claridge. Of course, they do maintain their positions from the grid, and this is Claridge, who is possibly thinking of a move down the hairpin. And of course, with this track, you do have a slipstream that will come into play, especially as you come upon this backstretch. You have contact with some cars around, but of course, everyone's making their way around this hairpin and to perhaps complete the first lap.
Sebastian Tixier, your most prominent driver involved there, him sitting in 5th place in the F1 Championship. Mick Ledge is looking to the inside there of the Wall of Champions chicane around the outside through the second part, and he takes away 1st place. Overtrain lead didn't even last a full lap. The Norwegian was definitely set to counter-strike into that 1st place position again, but not like this. Nearly loses his car. Also in behind, Rob Bolanik does the same and nearly hits Overtrain in the gearbox. But both of them keep on going the right direction, and we still have our top 5 nearly as they start the race, with the only exception that Mick Ledge has taken over 1st place.
So of course a change of lead that has happened around the first lap. Of course everyone else is still making it through these corners. We ride on board this driver as he makes his way around the left and right hander. This is Kochi and he sits in fourth. We do have a good view of how the battling is ensuing up front from first to third. As it comes upon the braking zone, of course, with these cars, you do have to brake a little bit earlier in order to make it safely through this particular chicane, which you cannot afford to go out too wide. Now, speaking of too wide, these are the drivers, of course. That is Olin Jack, who's made the overtaking move ahead of Kochi, and they now come upon the hairpin.
That actually was a slowdown for overturning rate. So Rob Olenek now into second place with Nikola Kochi. Third place, Rafael Dorado up to fourth. Peter Mikas, fifth place. Antti Kärönen sixth. And overturning rate is losing more positions now back to seventh. Maybe even back to eighth place. Parisi looks to the right here. But he is not going to go for it. So overturning rate settles only in seventh place. Lost 5 positions there because of one slowdown. That was extremely costly for the Norwegian.
So we do have the fastest lap set by Mick Claridge of 1:31.620, of course a blistering lap time that is. And of course this is a track ride. Oh, a bit of instant!
Into the wall. Your F2 driver standings leader Antti Kärönen out of the race because of too much of a lead foot. You can see it's just gonna happen right here. Look at how much he's having to wheel that car and bang into the barrier. He is most definitely gonna need some upper parts after that one.
So we are back on live pictures with Mick Claridge. He leads everyone else, and of course the battle behind is ensuing, and it is in fact brewing. So he does lead the rest of the field down the hairpin again. Of course, he is not under exactly a lot of pressure at this point. He's managed to build a small gap of 1 second, which is not exactly small. He does have a bit of a buffer, and he is getting a little comfortable with his car at this point. Same can't exactly be said with cars in third, fourth, and fifth as we head over to P11. This is a possible overtaking move as they go around the hairpin. So this is Pekka Risto versus Emmanuel Pereira and Andre Schumacher. This is going to be a slipstream race down the backstretch. Is Pereira going to think of a move along the inside or the outside of Risto? Is he going to think of a move as they come upon braking for the final chicane?
Even with the draft, Pereira just nowhere near the top speed of our fellow Finn Pekka Risto, but he has a better acceleration because of a mistake from Risto just a little bit too late into the Wall of Champions chicane. But once again, Risto able to just brake later into turn 1, and he is continuing to stay ahead of Emmanuel Pereira. So the French driver continues to just trundle in 12th place, but he is already up to 7 positions from his starting position. Going up to P4. Rider with a little bit of problems. Oh, he's having a slowdown actually. So he is going back to 5th place with overturning rate taking over that position.
Of course, we are riding on the rear bumper camera of Uwe, so we do have a good view of how, of course, the racing line, the choice of racing line that these cars do take. So around the hairpin, they go a little bit loose around and exactly kind of missing the apex as they come upon the backstretch. This is slipstream game. You can even see some of the heat haze coming out of the long exhaust of the rear end of the car. So this is speed comparison. They are both around the same speed at this point. This is kind of slipstream battle, but of course Dorado not close enough to think of a braking maneuver on Trangaride as they come upon the final chicane.
Trangaride, as always, very strong on the brake. There you were able to see how she was able to gain on Rafael Dorado just in braking zone onto turn number 13 and 14. There, that is of champions. So Rafael Dorado still in 6th place. Over Trangaride tries to come back after his costly mistake, dropping from 2nd place to 7th after his slowdown penalty in lap number 2. Looking back a little bit further, we are on board with Rafael Dorado, looking over his left shoulder there with the red helmet. One of the easiest cars to spot, a blue car with a red helmet.
So of course he is sitting in 6th at this point, and he rides the curbs. Of course, with these cars with generous suspension, you can get away with using the curbs on circuit Gilles Villeneuve as opposed to some of the other cars on the iRacing service. Dabbing a little bit of the grass goes the car in front, and this is a braking maneuver, a possible braking move that Tranquilite might have thought of making ahead of Nicholas, but they now come upon the back stretch again. You know, the cars are not exactly close enough to think of an overtaking move at this point.
It's not gonna happen right now for either of those drivers. Oh, a little bit sideways for the rider, spins it out, doesn't hit the wall. And he's also going to continue on once again. But Prix got past, maybe also Bill Tyler as we go on the replay there to exactly show you what happened. And I think that was just a little bit too much braking for the likings of his Lewis Hamilton.
So as we could see, it was just a matter of a bit of the off-throttle braking oversteer. You know, once you lock up the rear end, it does kind of send your car around if you're not careful with your turn-in. But of course, he does manage to rescue his car, and he sits 7th at this point, 2 positions down from where he came from.
I have a feeling that over train rate, they're soon going to overtake Peter Mikus here, as they were very close just through turn number 4, 5. Now going through 6, 7, and 8. Last chicane here, turn number 9. Up to the hairpin, maybe over train rate will try something, but obviously we have the very long backstretch. Going up to the chicane, that is the wall of champions. Not gonna happen through the hairpin for over train rate, but maybe he gets the draft he needs from Peter Mikus. Problem is, Mikus also has to draft from Nikola Kochi as once again a string out on the acceleration zone, and overturn it just can't get close enough to the driver head to make an overtake happen. But maybe once again through the very aggressive there through the wall of champions. Actually does hit the wall a little bit, and now once again slows him down enough so he can't get close to Peter Mikus. Meanwhile, Nick continues to streak away, 13.949 for him. He's now up 2.5 seconds from Rob Olenek.
So of course, with these oversized tires, they do kind of compensate for the lack of downforce on these cars, which does make it easier for these cars to make it around Montreal. We go on with Dorado as we observe his battle. He is in 7th, still in 7th at this point. He's putting a lot of pressure on Alessandro Parigi. A little bit of mistake as he went a little bit too quickly through the first of the chicane corners, and that kind of upset the pace of his car as he left that chicane.
And that nearly put him under pressure from Bill Tyler, but Bill Tyler's not able to do something here into turn number 8 and 9. So he stays behind in 8th place. Looking once again up, we're back to the battle for P3. That's Kochi, Mikus, and over train rate. And it seems like Peter Mikus is going to be able to try something here into the last chicane. Let's have a look. He's really getting close. Does he take it to the right? No, he does not. Very interesting. That will lead to over train rate getting close. And look at that. That's a mistake from Kochi. That is Peter Mikus now side by side. Down the front stretch, starting lap number 8. Who is going to be having the nose to head over the start-finish line? It was Peter Mikus. Next one is left-hander. That is going to be good for him. But actually, look at that speed that Nikola Koch is able to take through, and also over track rate says, thank you very much, I'm through. That's my 4th place right now. But Peter Mikus says, no, not with a fight. You're not going to get that. But sadly, over track rate is a better out that battle in the sides of Peter Mikus.
But this is possibly Mikus again thinking of a move around this chicane. Now, of course, with the different strategically positioned chicanes across this Montreal circuit, you know, at some points, it's all about trying to plan your overtaking moves ahead of time. You know, few corners in advance, and you know, using the backstretch as a staging ground. So this is Mikus. He's down on the braking zone again. Rather, we are riding on board the engine camera of Tranquilite. So we do have a good view of a little bit of a going loose along the exit goes. Mikus, but now they come breaking onto the hairpin. So this is one of the overtaking spots, so they might think of Mikus might think of an overtaking move as they come upon this section.
And it just seems like that we had an overtake from Dorado on Parisi into the Pingle. Let's see what happened there. That was a very good braking maneuver there by Dorado. Just sticks it into the apex, and Parisi says, I'm not having anything of that. And Dorado comes away with that 6th place over Parisi. Well done. That was a very brave maneuver from Dorado there.
Yep, now he sits comfortably in 6. He's been able to build a 7-10 second gap ahead of Parigi. But of course, Parigi might be in for a comeback as we go with the next few laps. So we are at lap 9 of 22. So this is kind of close to around the midpoint of the race. They go hopping over the curbs. Of course, with these cars, you can take the curbs as much as you want.
Over Trangrate, he is looking at that 3rd place of Nicola Kochi. Once again, it's only gonna be a matter of time until Kochi is being passed by Over Trangrate. And it might already be right now. Over Trangrate looking to the right here of Kochi. Oh, and that's Miko's completely missing his braking zone in behind them. But Over Trangrate and Nicola Kochi both unfazed from that. Over Trangrate has the nose ahead right now, but the acceleration momentum is going to Nicola Kochi down the very long backstretch they go. This is going to be interesting into the last braking zone of this lap. Lap number 9, we are writing already off 22. And Nicola Kochi comes up on top once again, but he is having issues through that wall of championship. And they touch with that code. Both of them save their cars. Mikus goes through. He's now up into 3rd place. And Owens Ringard once again only in 4th place.
And that was a close call for these drivers, but of course Mikus leads this battle pack of 3. And of course he does lead Trangrate and Nicola Kochi through these chicanes. So of course another overtaking move might be in the works as they go past the next corners.
Nicola Kochi with a little bit of a slide in behind. I think you saw that on the edge of your screens. But he is a little bit rattled right now. Might even feel a little bit of right side damage from that netcode with overturning rate. Gonna have a little bit of an eye on the Italian here a little bit. Looking back though to P number 13, we have a little bit of a battle there between Chandler Pillarito and Emmanuel Pereira, the French driver fighting against a Michigan driver actually, as they just went past Russell Whitworth. That's one of the lap cars we have in this race.
So this good battling happening at the midpoint of this race as we head back to P3, Peter Mikus. Of course, another battle brewing. So this is going to be action down into the chicane. Will anyone think of going for an overtaking move? They go so hard over the curves, they're almost going to contact with the Wall of Champions. And this is possibly going to cede 3rd position to Trangrate and Kochi.
Look at Kochi though, he's challenging Trangrate for that 3rd place. Trangrate on the outside, a little bit wiggly there once again. But over Trangrate finally takes away that 3rd place. Nicola Kochi 4th place. Peter Mikos from 3rd to 5th he goes. And he is feeling a little bit of damage himself as well. Or maybe he's just testing out the car there a little bit. Nicola Kochi getting very, very close to the outside wall there through turn number 5. But not touching it. Another lap car just ahead of them. As Tromisauer, as he is going to be soon a lap. The Canadian actually, a local driver. As Reggie Jensen now gets lapped by these 3. Very well done by Jensen to let them all through. Next up, there we go. That's Terry Tromisauer now. He also lets all of them past. And they can continue to fight for 3rd place.
Of course, Trangrate trying his best to shake Kochi and Mikus off, but of course, no, they're not exactly having it. So this is just going to be Kochi possibly going to have a move as they come along the backstretch. This is him. He's possibly going to go for a move. He goes along the left-hand side of Trangrate. He has the nose ahead. He has the edge ahead. But is he going to seal this off?
Oh, that's late. That's way too late. Nicola Kochi over the wall, and that's a 3-car contact. They're involved. Over Trangrate gets put around. Rafael Durazes, thank you very much, goes from 6th to 4th. maybe even up to third with Peter Mikus, maybe also having some battle. Well, it kinda was coming for a very long time. One of them had to make a mistake into this braking zone at one point, and it was the Italian championship leader Nicola Cocci with a very bad mistake. There you go, just a little bit too late. Can't make the car turn and then loses it as well on the brake. And right on to the way of overturning rate. Nowhere to avoid him, and also Peter Meek did nowhere avoid those two. And so all of them got collected in that incident.
We might have lost Nicola Cocci as well in live pictures.
Yeah, Nicola Cocci very much struggling with his car. He's having wheel damage, and I think he just parked it and is gonna go for tow here right now. So, overturning rate after all of this, he is back into 6th place, chasing down Alessandro Parisi and Rafael Dorado. He is right now challenging for the 3rd place of Peter Mikus. Peter Mikus maybe having a little bit of drag now with that contact. Let's have a look. I don't see any damage on his nose, so he might have been very lucky to not get anything. Also not seeing anything on the live pictures that you're seeing, so Peter Mikus, the Slovakian driver, very lucky on that incident. Oh, and by the way,
some action in the background
passed Alessandro Parisi for P number 5.
Now this is another battle pack. It is a pack of 4 battling for 5th position, led by Tranquilite. We do have Parigi, Tyler, and Rossi in the whole mix. All of them are within 1.5 seconds of one another, so this is in fact a good nail-biting action that is taking place. We are past the halfway point, so we do have quite a lot of action that will make this all more exciting. It comes along this left and right-hander, of course, over this corner is all about the racing line that can get in order to get the best exit for this short stretch. Tranquilite has a slight gap ahead of everyone else. He has built himself 7/10 of a second, and he goes early on the brakes into the corner. Good use of the curbs, and nearly going very close to the wall over there along the exit. And he is just creating a bit of a breakaway ahead of the rest of the drivers as he prepares for his entry into the hairpin. Of course, gap is already been closed up a slight bit. There is a lap traffic over there along the outside, giving way to Tranquilite and his company. And they are on for another battle down backstretch.
While that is going on, I'm also having half an eye on that 3rd place battle, so if anything happens there, we will most definitely switch over to them, but right now the action is most definitely for that 5th place over Tranquilite leading that one, and I would be honestly surprised if he's not having a little bit of front end damage from that incident. Yes, very much, you can see a little bit of front end damage. That most definitely is a tiny bit crumbled on the Norwegian driver. Meanwhile, Mick Claridge, your most dominant force over the past 3-4 seasons in the series, he's continuing to lead ahead of Rob Bolanik. 4.8 seconds right now is the difference between himself and Rob. So once again, a very controlled race by the UK and I driver. Back once again to overturning rate and his company. They're still fighting over that 5th place. Alessandro Parisi and Bill Tyler, they're starting to fall apart a little bit. Especially David Rossi now after he made his mistake. They have completely lost him. Bill Tyler, though, racing from New York. He is sort of hanging on still to the back of Parisi and overturning rate.
Because this battle is not going anywhere. So it would be Tranquilite who's gone for a little bit of a defensive as he's tried to go along the inside, he's gone back to the outside for the entry into this chicane. Good use of the curbs as usual. Of course, not only them, but also the cars in front of them, they're also having some good battling. That is 4th and 5th position. So a little bit of a lockup by Tranquilite. And this is going to perhaps lead to his gap being reduced ahead of Parigi.
More and more cars are starting to get lapped by this point. Lap number 15. We are now watching over train grade trying to get past John Van Dorn. That's not going very well for over train grade, but Parigi too far away to get his nose in there as well. John Van Dorn and now holding up Untitled a little bit on the apex of turn number 6. That was the smoothest lap car interaction ever, but they made it out. So, Alessandro Parigi, the Italian driver, he's right now your highest Italian, by the way. If you really want to keep up to date with all your drivers, we remind you once again, GSRC.tv is your place for all your live timing needs in our broadcasts.
Parigi still going strong as we have a look at Mikus. He is in third at the moment. He's having a good race thus far. At this point, he's 6 positions from where he began from, of course, with the combination of different events happening throughout the race. He's found himself on the first final step of the podium at this point. So he leads Dorado, and of course he has an 8/10 of a second advantage ahead of Dorado, and he is, of course, he's trying to kind of keep this gap existing, or he's probably gonna also try his best to shake the rest of to shake Dorado away. He is quite far behind Olin Jack, who sits in second, although he is 12 seconds ahead of him. So of course right now what's probably on his mind is just to possibly try to draw as big of a gap as possible ahead of Dorado.
As always, the great camera work by Dougie Beard is being shown to you right there. Very great under bridge camera there, looking at Peter Mikus and Rafael Dorado as they continue to sort of fight right now for that third place. Dorado just not really able to get any closer to Peter Mikus. Mikus doing a very great job staying ahead, as we are looking on board of Rafael Dorado over his right hand shoulder. Just incredible how early they have to brake for the Wall of Champions chicane. Already at the 5 board, that's about 500 meters or 5 seconds, I think that measurement is, away from the turning point of that last turn.
We are at 6 laps to go, so of course, not exactly much time for the drivers to perhaps seal their battles. So Miku is still in third. He makes his way past a back marker, a lap traffic, and so does Dorado. So of course he is very much so at this point where kind of some of the lap drivers do kind of come into contact with some of the faster drivers. This is where a lot of blue flag moments will begin to happen. So Miku's still 8/10, 9/10 of a second ahead of Dorado, and he's also trying his best to try to keep Dorado at bay.
9 drivers we have lost this far: Igor Kurbio, Sebastian Tixia, Lockhart Brownlee, Chris Murakami, Antti Kerinen, as well as Nicola Kochi, Terry Trommelshauser, David Meyer, and it also looks like Colin Bentley has now brought it into the pit lane. So yeah, a lot of drivers already out, but a few more are still continuing that have visited a pit box at one time or another. As we're looking at the number 21 driver, that is I can't find right now. Look at that. It's on Peak, of course. On Peak with the peak performance right there, 6 positions up. He's doing a very good job, as always. Last car on the lead lap as well. Going back up a little bit further, that is the battle for P number 3 between Rafael Dorado and Peter Mikus. They're running up to Reggie Jensen once again to lap him for the second time in this race on track. Already 8 laps down the general on your making very good here. Going over to the right, letting both of them pass very easily. No harm and no foul whatsoever. And Dorado can continue to fight over that third place.
So of course Dorado would want to perhaps make this work, with 5 to go. I think Dorado, what's in his mind is that he just wants to try his best to close his gap to Miku's, to the best of his abilities. So of course they come upon the hairpin, and this, there is a little bit of a distance, so that he will require quite a bit of effort in order to close this gap. Of course, I think we have come to the point where battles have become rather saturated. With this being one of the few battles that are still taking place this late into this 22 lap race.
Oh, and I was just watching Dave Cohen, who just completely wrecked his car into the last chicane, outbraked himself. Little bit of a grass as well, John, and that is all she wrote.
And this is a replay. We have a look at Dave Cohen. This is the entry into the chicane, and yeah, it would probably be a matter of locking up the brakes, and instead of hitting right, he went the opposite direction instead, and he found the wall just in front of him.
And actually, that was all she needed in total. He had to tow it back to the garage. Wasn't able to drive that car anymore, and with only 4 laps to go, most definitely he didn't want anything more to harm anyone here in this race. As also Rodney Evans sadly received a throughput, so we have lost another car in just 2 laps.
So at this point, we have 14 cars on the lead lap, excluding drivers who are in the pits. This is probably a fair amount. This is slightly less than half of all of the cars on the grid at this point.
And sadly, we have to report that Rafael Dorado now completely lost the back of Peter Mikus for that 3rd place, because Dorado, he made a mistake. He had a slowdown, cut too much off the curb, and is now sitting 3.3 seconds back on Peter Mikus.
Yeah, so this was one of the remaining battles we had kind of possibly lost at this point. So the gap has in fact increased to 3 seconds, so it is unlikely that Dorado would be able to close any gap whatsoever with Mikus. So pretty much the field has kind of more likely than not has begun to set in stone. Mick Claridge is still your race leader, and Mikus is still in 3rd.
Mick Claridge, as you said, your race leader. Only 2.5 laps to go for him, and I'm pretty sure that he won't be able to make another mistake to let Rob Olenek close to him. Mick Claridge is always one of the most stable drivers in the series. Always takes pride in how many laps he drives to get that setup on point. And it once again shows that he really is that number 1 driver, not only in iRacing, but also in this series, as he makes a little bit of a mistake, but that's just nothing the UKI driver can't save.
I'm beginning to enjoy many of Dougie Bear's wonderful cameras, especially on this Lotus 49. You just notice that there are so many different camera spots that we have on this car. It's just a magnificent beast, and to ride on it from different perspectives, it just adds so much color to to appreciating the racing action. Claridge is still in 1st as we have a look at Dorado. He is in fact been able to close in with Peter Mikus, so it could be that Mikus might have faced a bit of issues some moments ago. So the gap is back to where it was some moments ago, 0.8 of a second. So Dorado would probably have a good chance of perhaps making Mikus work to retain his 3rd position.
Yeah, those two not as flawless as Mick Claridge. They most definitely have found each other, and Dorado is actually closer than he was before his slowdown, so wouldn't be surprised if Peter Mikus also had a slowdown just a lap after. We're probably going to stick with this until the checkered flag drops for Mick Claridge. It's only 1 more lap to go for the UKI driver, and he will be, I think, your 3-time winner already this season. Peter Mikus and Rafael Dorado will be taking that white flag very shortly. That McClash has retaken, heading into turn 1 and 2. Just one more lap to go, and he will be your winner here today. Peter Mikus, though, he is not yet in the clears, as Rafael Dorado continues to sit just about 8/10 behind the back of the number 4 driver.
Coming upon some lap traffic at this point, once again, that is the lap traffic who is probably many positions down. But of course, with this race, we did see good battles taking place throughout the field, but of course, it all became saturated as we came to this point in the race. Miko's now going a little bit harder on the curbs, using more curbs than ever, trying to work hard to retain his final spot on the podium. It all boils down to this moment. If he's able to keep his car on all fours throughout to the finish, he will get his counted 3rd position.
McClatch, he is just a few corners away from winning this race, exiting Lepingle now, just a casino straight to go. And one of the hardest corners on this track. Let's see how he can do under the Dodge Bridge for the very last time in this race. 100 meters to go, and right and left, and he is done for today. McClatch is your winner of round 7 here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Rob Olenek will be taking home 2nd place, just 3.5 seconds back on McClatch, but Peter Mikus, he's still under pressure a little bit into the last chicane. He goes, managed that nicely, so he's gonna take home 3rd place, just ahead of Rafael Dorado, who's finishing at 2nd behind.
Prix comes home in 6th, and he will finish ahead of Bill Tyler, who makes it home in 7th. Then will be followed by David Rossi and Gary Teal as they all make their way across the start-finish line of what had been quite an exciting race here at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve.
With all of that, the racing might be over here in Quebec, but the show is far from done. We're going to step aside for just a few moments to take a breather, but we will be quickly back for both race 2, where we will run you down the unofficial finishing order, talk to some of the drivers, and close off an eventful race. So don't step away too far, as GSRC will be back after these messages. We welcome you all back to Grand Prix Legends post-race show, streaming to your home on the Global SimRacing Channel via the iRacing eSports Network. Oh, and by the way, are you interested in advertising with GSRC or particularly the Grand Prix Legends post-race show? Our channel's 1 million monthly global impressions are a great way to get your branding seen by a diverse audience. Follow the link in the description to learn more. As always, first on the list here in the post-race show is your unofficial finishing order, which is being led once again by the number 1 driver, Mick Cledge, 2.5 seconds in the very end, ahead of Rob Oldenik. Peter Mikos, a very great race for him, from 6th into 3rd, with Rafael Dorado, the number 11 drivers. Lots of average in the game there for him. For sure finishes in 4th place with over Trengrid in 5th place from 1st. Must be a very disappointing race for him. Alessandro Prix, 6th place with Bill Tyler 7th. David Rossi up to 8th place. Gary Teal, one of your most hard charger in this race, 16th to 9th he went, with Pecoristo being your first fin in this race, and also 10th place in the semis.
So coming home in 11th is Andre Schumacher, and Chandler Pellerito comes home in 12th. Manuel Pereira in 13th, and Donald Peake come home in 14th. Antonio Rice comes home in 15th. Kyle Reed in 16th. Douglas Nelson in 17th. Colin Bentley in 18th. Russell Whitworth comes home in 19th, and Robert Reynolds comes home in 20th.
21st went to Dave Coyne, and all the other drivers are right now running through your screen that did finish or did not finish more than 6 laps behind in this race. We have some drivers to interview, and Mick Cledge is going to be the first one here today. Not only your winner here today, but also your 3-time winner now this season. Mick, business as usual, isn't it?
Hi, Steph. Yeah, it was. I was expecting it to be a lot closer than that. I'm sure Rob will come in and tell you. He did tell me what the reasons was. I'll let him explain. But yeah, I thought it was going to be a real close fight with Rob there. We've had a couple of races this week, and they've been very close. And if anything, Rob's had the edge. But he tried a different thing today, and didn't really work out for him.
Most definitely, it looks like that. Rob Bolnick, pretty much your only challenger, even speed-wise, today, with Peter Mikos 3rd place, already finishing nearly 19 seconds behind you. How many, let's be honest, how many practice laps did you put in today, for today?
Not that many, to be honest with you, Steph. Yeah, no, I've been away at the start of the week, so I didn't really start practicing until Wednesday night. No, funny enough, Thursday afternoon. So then the first race was Thursday, and Rob just put up a gem of a post up on the forum. Someone was asking about which setup to go for in preparation, and he said, I'm going for Mid-Ohio. So I did that, and bang, it was quick straight away. So fair play to Rob for putting that info up on the forum, because that helped a lot. I was up to speed straight away. So yeah, not that many, mate.
Rob Bolnick, helpful as ever. Let's talk a little bit about next week. Brands Hatch, how are you looking forward to one of your home tracks?
Do you know what? I'm not going to be here next week, but
What?
No, I'm away. But Michelle's going to be back, yeah, you better watch him.
Well, we get one fast boy back for another one, so that's a good trade-off, I would say. Mick, congrats once again on your first place finish, and see you in 2 weeks.
Yep, I'll be back in 2 weeks. Yeah, cheers. See you guys.
That was Mick Cledge, your winner of today. Next up, it's Rob Bolnick talking to Chan Weihan.
Rob, we were just speaking with Mick earlier on, and he was just sharing with us that at various points in the race, especially at the start of the race, yourself and Mick, you guys had quite good battles before we crossed around the midpoint of the race and stuff like that. So tell us more about this race. I do understand that at some points some incidents did happen towards the start, but afterwards we noticed that some of the battles had become a little saturated. Now tell us more about the race from your perspective.
The race should have been a lot better and a lot closer between me and Mick today. The gearing is a little wacky. The second gear, I was using a certain set of gearing all week, and I was easily battling with him, and really just trying to find a place to pass, but I could easily stay. Today, after I changed the gearing probably half hour before the race, I wanted to try and get it so I could use first on the hairpin and maybe get a better run on him. And about 15 minutes before the race started, my gearing for third changed, and it just changed my rhythm through the final chicane, and it just messed me up. And then I don't want to swear, but like mind screwed up myself. And then I just could not take the final chicane even remotely close to the way I normally did. I was going through there with fear every single time. And it was just a struggle to make it around the track today. And the rest of the week and the other races, I was like pushing as hard as possible and feeling super comfortable. It's amazing how, one day you can feel great in the car and the next day you feel like total crap. So, but fair play to Mick. I mean, he won the race. He could have won the race anyway. I mean, I think we were probably normally equal pace here. It's just one of those days where I just drove like crap. Still got second though, and I'm happy with that considering the way I drove.
That's great to hear, man. I like to think that, this is perhaps something that you get out when you combine a historic classic and a modern classic, that is the Lotus 49 and Circuit Gilles Villeneuve. Sometimes you're bound to have, I guess, what I like to call, incompatibility with generation, and so to speak. It is quite a modern track with quite a classic car, so I think at some points, you do lose some of the 100% affinity you have with the track with this car. I think it could well be down to that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not fully up on the huge. I think it's the big curbs that are probably the biggest difference in this track than the old stuff. And normally the older stuff was just long sweepers, not many tighter turns. But quite honestly, the chicanes the rest of the week is where I was making up all of my time on everybody else. And when you lose your what you have an advantage on, it's a little harder. Luckily, it was just really that one corner that really was messing me up. But I like this track a lot. Any of the tracks, like even Charlotte with the walls, anything that's kind of street course where you're putting the car close up edge to a wall, or it's even more dangerous, as a good chance of screwing up. I love that kind of track. And you just have to be hitting your marks perfectly to run up front at a track like that, because you have to push the limits through those corners to win. And I mean, you can make sure you finish the race and go conservatively through those corners, but that's not as much fun. It makes you sweat more on a track like this.
Sure, that's great to hear. Look, Rob, before we let you go, anyone you'd like to thank?
I'm on Dirty Torque, so all the Dirty Torque drivers, and you guys, and just the Lotus 49 community. Like Mick's, I don't know how long he's been racing this car, but he's still just helping everybody. This is just a really cool dude. And we have a lot of hats off to all the newer guys that are, coming in, and they're kind of taking over, helping make the schedule. Yuri's a big part of that. And it was really just a great group of guys, and I'm happy to be racing here. But thanks, guys, and I'll see you next week.
Thanks, wonderful. So that was Rob Alinjak, and Stefan is going to be with Rafael Dorado.
Yeah, Rafael Dorado, fourth place for him here today with the number 11. A little bit lucky, I would say, Rafael, but very much deserved that fourth place. How was it from your perspective?
I would say it was extremely lucky to be fourth place. I made 3 major mistakes. I had 2 slowdowns and 1 major mistake at the last chicane. I was P7 at some point, and to make it back to P4, I think just shows how challenging this track is and how challenging it was, not only for me, but for everybody. So I really want to congratulate Mick, Rob, and Peter Mikus for finishing in the podium, because this track is really, really tough.
Very much so. So we had 2 tough tracks back to back, but we're gonna go to another very tough track, and a little bit more old school, more suiting to this car. Brands Hatch, how are you looking forward to that track?
I am really looking forward to. It's one of my favorite tracks. I haven't driven it in the 49 yet, but I am expecting that the 49 at Brands Hatch is going to be a really surreal experience. I mean, I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, Rafael, I would be honestly surprised if you're not continuing your strong showings that you have showed thus far. So very much good luck for next week, and maybe we'll see you once again close to the podium.
Thank you very much, guys, and thanks for the broadcast.
That was Rafael Dorado, your 4th place finisher here today. And sadly, with all of that done and dusted, we once again would like to thank the iRacing Esports Network for having us on their channel lineup to bring you the great shows on iRacing into your home. On top of that, we'd like to thank everyone on track today for a great show, and especially the Lewis 49 community for contracting with GSRC to broadcast. Right now on your screen, you can see all of the companies that provide us with their great hard and software GSRC uses to deliver you the best possible show. Additional thanks goes to June Lalonde, who provides us with her great masterpieces. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of her great work. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, please visit us at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also find us on the social media platforms, Twitter with @GSRChannel, Facebook at facebook.com/Global SimRacing Channel, or Instagram at GSRC_rap. All of the upcoming races for our other series are now sliding across your screen, so check them out and mark them down your calendar to not miss another second of exciting racing action. Finally, on behalf of the entire crew, Sean, and Doug, I'd like to thank you all for tuning in as Mick Clenich took away the victory here in virtual Montreal. With that said, until next time, servus and sayonara, and as always, race hard, race clean, and we'll see you on the track.